400 yards, I think, is my short spot. So Croatia is another match.
Sorry.
It is without doubt the toughest challenge yet. This is a f***ing joke.
It's just too funny how scared he is of everything.
I've never known a place like it. Because quite simply, without them, you wouldn't be able to do it. You can't travel across the world with all of that sort of kit. Welcome to another episode of Spooner's Vlog, and this one is a little bit different. You are going to join us on the set of each episode of Monster Carp. This one is over £57. It's not even going to make the show. It's going to be a good one. The question on everyone's lips, where are we heading for season 8 of Monster Carp? Well, how about that for a view? We've already been to Croatia, rode Lake of Gigantica, South Africa, and finally returning back to France to a massive inland sea. But for now, this mid-20 scaly will do me nicely. Well, you come to South Africa because you want a bit of an adventure, and that's exactly what we've had. We sat in our bivvies last night, properly zipped up in the middle of the worst storm I've ever fished in. For a solid hour, thunder overhead, the lightning was lighting up the sky literally for hours before the storm even hit. And the rain, it was torrential, doesn't even do it justice. But earlier on in the evening, Dovey was trying to conquer his fears of anything that crawls, mainly spiders he really doesn't like, and I'm sure you'll agree by the footage, he still hasn't conquered them.
Oh no, I'm so come on. Put your hand there. No, because I think it knows what's going on. No, it doesn't. Just put your... Let him just walk over your hand. Yeah, walk over your hand.
It's got this, Travis.
Just hold your hand. Come on. This is it. Oh. Good lad, mate. No, I didn't scream. No, I'm not scared of them.
But the rods are back out. Dovey's just coming back in now. He's got his rod repositioned. That's all 6 rods back on the spots. And I'm still not going to tell you what we caught. Sorry. Now don't worry, later on in the vlog there will be plenty more examples of Dovey screaming through absolute fear. But for now, I'm going to include you in a little pastime that we like to do whilst on Monster Carp, and that is to play a little bit of sport. There's often a little bit of downtime when filming a Monster Carp. The rods are out, they're obviously fishing, and it's a bit friendly game of balls. At the minute, I think that was the right idea. I think me and Dovey are at 6-all. Ross is on 4. Jack started late, to be fair. He's got an advantage stroke disadvantage using oranges, and he's on 2 points already. 2 points or 1 point? 1 point.
1 point. Go.
And he's in the lead on this one.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all go.
Oh, you stand where you stand there.
Now, just while there's a lot going on in the background here, as you can probably hear, but whilst me and Dovey are getting our rods ready before some epic weather comes in, have a little watch of the Monster Carp Masters highlights between me and Jack Booth.
Just be nice, just
Visualise.
not look like an idiot on the vlog.
Visualise.
Manifest.
Now, Boofy and I very quickly realised that golf probably isn't the game for us. The challenge was simple. Start at one end of a football pitch, drive the ball down and hit whichever post we'd chosen to. Well, that was the plan anyway. Eventually though, Boofy did hit a beautiful drive, and while some people will say the following bit of footage is faked, I'm not so sure. Now, whenever we film an episode of Monster Carp, Dovey and me always have a great time, but a large part of that is down to the crew that we get to surround ourselves with and spend lots of time. There's so many big characters, all up for having a good time whilst getting the job done. Well, as it turned out, the fishing was so good in Croatia that some of them lads got to have a go at the fishing for themselves.
This is really hard.
Hello, Matt. Nice one.
One of the A-cam there, Matt Ford, hard at work. He's been in his car for about 4 minutes, sound asleep, snoring like an old bulldog. He's just heard his name mentioned. He don't know where he is. Now, there's been plenty of fish caught on this trip, but I have moved swims in order to try and catch a bigger one. And when you're doing that, when you're moving around, going to bed late, getting up early in the morning, a proper cup of coffee is imperative. I'm not talking granules, I'm talking AeroPress with a nice bag of freshly ground coffee. But the question is, how do you make it properly? Let me show you. Okay, now, to do a proper pair coffee, you've got to invert, which means you've got the system upside down. Not a lot of people do that, but it makes an even, smoother coffee. Mix it to the top. Give it a little stir. Like so. Your filter goes on. And you leave that for about 40 seconds to brew. Get out of my face. Not you, that wasp. 40 seconds here, dear. You flip her upside down onto your cup. Press it through. Now, I think the proper way to drink it is like it is now, but I like a little bit of milk. Just a splash. And that is a proper drop pear coffee. Well, this has pretty much been the order of the day out here in Croatia. Got a good mix of bait in there, maize, tiger nuts, and then lots of mainline boilie. Got Activate, Essential Cell, some 10mm cell as well, a right old treat up. But you know what's turned out to be one of the most important things? Lashings of Cell Smart Liquid. It leaves a cloud up in the water and it definitely pulls the carp in. And then it's just the graft, getting it all out at 140 yards. Now, we're in a busy camp. Just in our little bit, there's 4 bivvies. That's one for me, one for Dovey, one for Lou, the night cameraman, one for Jack Booth, the night cameraman. Without doubt, the jumpiest person who's scared of everything is Dovey. Whether
And
it's
Lewis.
and Lewis. Close second, I'd say.
There it is.
Oh no! Right, again, lads, I swear, if anyone throws it on me, I'm going to kick him in the head. No, don't, because they jump. It's literally there! He's down there now. Where is he in there? Oh, that's it. Everyone's so on edge.
Yeah, he's a horrible looking one. It's definitely fair to say that we encountered our fair share of creepy crawlies and bugs whilst out in South Africa. Thankfully though, Dovey did live to tell the tale at the Big One show down in Farnborough, although he might have exaggerated a couple of the finer details.
That sort of size, like 5 inches across. And if you're scared of spiders, that is the worst thing ever, because you're thinking, is it touched us? Is there one in me bed chair? I was like,
But I did have a little confession to make.
Now, Dovey, this is confession time. I didn't know this was happening until about a week in, because it got really strange that I would have nothing in my bivvy, okay? And we might have filmed a section of the vlog where Boofy is going spider hunting and putting them in your bivvy.
no.
Genuinely, he did not know
true?
this information.
I'm going to kill him.
It's just too funny how scared he is of everything.
I could see the frog in the creek.
So I love you, Tom, dearly, but it's so funny. So there's a frog in there. There's a massive cricket that whenever you get in there goes boo, 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 everywhere. There's a massive beetle and then another little cricket, but it's there's wildlife in there. He's gonna absolutely freak out. Come on the roof. I'll get it on the mesh. Oh, you what the fuck is this? It's the last night, and Tom's been terrified all trip. I love you dearly, Tom. I really, really do. You're a fucking good friend, but I'm sorry. Pass me that camera. You're gonna hate me, bro, but it's all for the TV gold. Love you, bro.
That's not good because that shows there's a spray of seal. No, mate, not big enough.
Oh, no,
How big is it? What? How big is it? No, it's big enough to fit it in it, but it's not much. Oh, I need it here. No, don't hit it. Don't hit it.
I reckon I can whack it out.
No. Oh no, fuck out. Oh no, Neil! Neil, can you help me?
What do you want me to
Just slide the lid down the back end of it.
That went down a treat.
That was easy, wasn't it? Oh, no drama.
Now, I know what Dovey's like, and I know for a fact that he'll be plotting revenge on Booth, and hopefully we get to cover that for a future episode of the vlog too. But there is one member of the crew that doesn't get seen a lot. He's always there, and that is Kurt. We call him Kurt the chef. He looks after us. He feeds us 3 times a day.
I did put cheese out, didn't I?
You did, mate? Nothing is too much trouble for that man, and some of the stuff he sorts out in the harshest of conditions, it's a sight to behold. But because we're often away at the same sort of times, for the last 6 or 7 years, Kurt has been away on his birthday, so we always like to make sure we get him a lovely bit of birthday cake.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kurt. Happy birthday to you. Sweet.
He is asthmatic. Now, while we just take a little bit to allow Kurt to get his breath back, we're going to take a little break from the action now to show you the new trailer for Season 8 of Monster Carp.
Our whole carp fishing life has led to this moment.
It's conceivable we could come here and leave with nothing.
The silence can be cruel with everything to lose. You can hear a pin drop filling up the room. Something's coming, I can feel it now.
This is the life though, Spoons. It's proper.
This is such big carp weather, it's beyond a joke.
Calm before the storm.
These conditions are mega, and I'm in the teeth of the wind. 2 bites literally within 15 seconds of each other, and they're not even on the same spot.
Look at that carp!
At 66 pounds, how can you not be impressed?
He's a fat boy, isn't he?
Oh my days, I'm never going to hear the end of this.
Get in there, Neil!
Get that in!
Yes! It's just a magnificent creature. Look at the size of that.
It's the calm before the storm.
Now, across the series, we were faced with lots of sets of different circumstances across all the lakes, so it meant that our tactics would be varied. Well, it's been a bit of a hectic afternoon. I'm going to put this common back in a second. Dovey and I have both caught quite a few fish. Winning tactics for me have been solid bags infused with either pineapple supreme, or probably what's doing slightly better at the minute is the passion fruit goo. Not one I've used too much, as it's still only in the test phase. Solid bags, it's about being prepared. Little loop in your main line, figure of 8 loop, nothing complicated, but using the little safe zone 30cm leaders, you can simply thread that loop through the loop in the leader, drop your bag through. You've got a very, very simple but speedy and effective way of quick changing.
Here's the rig I'm using at Lactadura Monster Carp. It's very, very simple. I've got a ready tied lead core lead clip leader with a quick change part there, so I can change the hook link really quickly. An 8-ounce cog lead, big old flat thing. It's not going to get moved in the wind. And then I've basically copied Daryl Peck's multi-combi. 20-pound boom, loop material, size 4 crank, a little tiny ring swivel, and a blooming snowman.
Just getting the rods resorted, they're back on the spots and getting a third rod ready. It's been a hectic old trip out here. Lots of bites. I'm not going to give too much away, well, anything away with regards to the size of the carp, but there's been plenty of big uns caught, all on spinners again. I know it's boring, but when you've got a rig that you absolutely trust 100%, why would you change it?
Are you in contact with Harry?
Fishing further out
Do you want to give him a
than I've
text and just see what...
ever had to fish before, 140 yards, well, than I've ever had to cast before. And when you're baiting all day, recasting, come the end of the day we've actually been reeling in, because for 2 reasons. It's not the most effective part of the lake at night anyway, but we are exhausted come the end of the day, so it's actually a treat to reel in and just get some sleep. Hook bait wise, I've been using lots of different ones, but these have definitely been the most consistent. A little isotonic, it's a little essential cell mini pop-up soaked in isotonic. Take them everywhere, we always say it. And to give you an idea of how successful it's been, that is a pile of me used hooks just on my tackle box magnet, so there ain't long left, but whilst there is still time, always time to try and get another carp. Now, when you're fishing at extreme range on these big venues, the last thing you want to be doing is reeling in from the bank. So whether you're playing a fishing, or whether you're redoing the rigs and giving them a little freshen up, you do it all from the boat. So in this instance, we're literally, obviously the outboard's going, but we're reeling ourselves out to the spot, lift the rig up. In my little pouch, I've got spares of everything, back leads, normal leads. I've got new hook sections ready to go with hook baits on, so the whole process is as quick and as seamless as possible. That lives in the boat all the time. So like I say, we'll get out there, only using spinner rigs as per. Take that hook off, put a fresh one on, and lower it straight back down over the side. Very, very heavy duty tackle for this. I've got a lead core leader on there straight to a hybrid lead clip. I've crimped my boom straight to the swivel, and like I say, it's my conventional spinner rig. So I've got 7 inches of boom, a size 4 crank. We've stuck to more or less on this one a tiger nut only approach, because there's quite a few catfish in here. As soon as you start feeding boilie, they can move in and completely ruin the area. So we didn't want to run that risk and just gone with a tiger nut only approach. Then on the business end, we've got a heavy duty 50-pound nylon XT leader. There could be any sort of unseen snag out here, and the thicker the leader you've got on, the more chance you've got of overcoming that snag and landing everything you hook. And then finally, I've got a massive spool. I've got a deep Bezier spool filled with Apex 30-pound braid. So ultra heavy duty stuff, because let's face it, you don't want to take any risks. Anytime we film a Monster Carp, the undertaking is always massive. Whether you're loading your own van up and driving across Europe, loading vans up that are being driven across Europe, but these ones where you come to quite almost the other side of the world, South Africa, we have to rely a lot more on some of the friends that we've got on the ground. So we deal with a company called Kingfisher out in South Africa. They've helped us out with a lot of stuff. Gilbert in particular, he's been instrumental in supplying us bed chairs, sleeping bags. We've got Brandon and Anthony Fraser, 2 lads that we met out here in South Africa years ago when we first came out. They've sorted us out with some bait, with the boats that we need, because quite simply, without them, you wouldn't be able to do it. You can't travel across the world with all of that sort of kit. The price would just be exponential and would make the whole thing non-viable. So a big shout out to them lads. And whether it's in South Africa, whether it's in France, we've always got people that help us out. And I guess this is just a massive, massive thank you to every single one of them, because without them, it wouldn't be possible. Now, when selecting venues for each season of Monster Carp, we like to try and include venues that offer a nice mix of carp fishing. So take Road Lake, for example. It's probably the most relatable to most people that get to watch a carp fishing program. It's across in France, very accessible, anyone can go and have a go. Then we go to somewhere like South Africa, which is a massive adventure, very aspirational. We appreciate that not loads of people will get to do it, and it puts you out, really does put you out of your comfort zone and into the wild. Lake Zazaki in Croatia, well, that offered us something just a little bit different. It's not going to give away too much by telling you that, similar to the Parco trip we did where I destroyed Dovey in a match, he wanted a bit of redemption. So Croatia is another match. There's Joe the Soundman. Say hello. Well, for the finale of this season's Monster Carp, what you can see over my shoulder can only be described as a windswept inland ocean. We're back in France at one of the massive public lakes, and we are taking on, it's not even arguably our toughest challenge yet, it is without doubt the toughest challenge yet. There's no guarantee we're even going to catch fish, let alone get on them. We're very early into the trip though, and this morning we've seen our first show. It's getting exciting. I don't really want to let you see too much more from what was actually shot for Monster Carp, because we want you to watch every single episode with fresh eyes. Don't want too many teasers on here. All I do want to say though is, once again, Dovey and me, we're exceptionally proud of the series, of what it means, how many of you absolutely love it, and I'm sure this series is going to be no different. I love the fishing at Zazaki, to push my own limits on the range that I was fishing, catching big uns at that range, baiting at that range. It's challenging in itself. Road Lake, you're going to see me in a very different light, and I'm hoping that you find it as funny as we found it to film. The adventure in South Africa was just off the hook. And finally, Lac de Dare. Well, it was tough. That's all I'm going to tell you. Make sure you tune in and watch every single one and let us know what you think. I'm going to leave it there. I've shown you enough. Thanks, everyone.